One of the questions that keeps popping up in everyone's mind is how do you define the clarity of purpose in your life? And that's something that you've probably been asked multiple times before, but this is something that we still struggle with. And we easily get influenced by people around us and get distracted from what we truly are passionate about. How do you recommend today's youth to be focusing on building true passion and also developing a clarity of purpose in life?
This idea that a human being has a purpose to his existence is a very tyrannical idea. The moment you have a strong sense of purpose, you are a natural tyrant. The question is only question of competence. There are lots of tyrants all over the place. There are lots of Mussolinis and Adolf Hitlers all over the place. Fortunately, they're impotent and incapable. Yes, there are lots of them. Don't think only one was born. There are lots of them. Fortunately, nobody has the capacity or the competence that those tyrants had. Otherwise, there are a whole lot of people with same intention of wanting you to be something other than who you are right now. So if I have a purpose to life, if it gets organized, it becomes a mission. Who the hell are you to have your own mission? You're here, you're just a pop-up on this planet, all right? You pop up and you pop out. Here, instead of doing what is needed most right now for maximum number of people, you have your own purpose, maybe God-given purpose. Whenever people say they have a God-given purpose, they have done the most terrible things on the planet. Now you don't like it, it's okay, but have they not? Whenever people said, God spoke to me, terrible things are coming. You can be sure about it. You heard these statements because you are trying to endorse your nonsense with some other authority from elsewhere. Why do you need a purpose? Life is a phenomena beyond your understanding. You're here to experience it and enhance it for yourself and everything else around you. That's about it. What is there for you to have a purpose of your own when you've not even figured out where it begins, where it ends? When you have not even figured out where this cosmos begins, where it ends, where you come from and where the hell you will go, how come you have a purpose of your own? You don't need a purpose, you just need sense. You need sense and sensitivity. And sensitivity will naturally come if you look at life as a more inclusive process. Right now, some studies in the last 2 days creating a flutter, I've been talking about it for last 25 years. Some studies say that in the next 5 years, the insect population is going to go down so dramatically that all agriculture on the planet could be seriously hit and food could become a great crisis. I've been talking about this continuously for last 25 years. People think worms and insects are no good. But I'm telling you once again, if all the worms die right now, in the next 14 to 18 months, there will not be a single life on this planet, including you and me. If all the insects die, within the next 2.5 to 4 years, not a single piece of life will exist on this planet. But if you and me die, planet will flourish. Yes, this is the fact of our existence or no? Hello? Whatever nonsense we think about ourselves, without human race, this planet will do great. But without worms, insects, microbes and various other creatures, this planet cannot exist as a life. So, our idea, the most destructive idea that's been put into human minds in the name of religion, philosophy and nonsense is that creation is human-centric. Creation is not human-centric. You are just a speck in this creation, you're really nothing. As I said, you're like, on your computer screen there are pop-ups, you pop up and you pop out. You think so much about yourself, but actually before you and me came here, countless number of people who all thought they are great people came and went. Where are they now? All topsoil. Yes or no? Worms are feasting on them, all right? But human beings, this is all it is. In this vast cosmos, this entire solar system is a tiny speck. In that tiny speck, this planet Earth is a microspeck. In that microspeck, Detroit city is a super microspeck. In that, you're a big man. This is a serious problem. This is all because of our learning. Do you understand? This is because of our learning, because we've lost our sense of perception. We are not seeing things as they are. We are making up things in our mind in the name of education. It's time we come to reality. Once machine learning comes, your nonsensical learning will not mean a damn thing. Just because you read a book, you are acting superior. No, a 5-year-old kid will turn on his machine and tell you, here. It's a great time.
Hi, my name is Abhirami and I'm pursuing my first year in Bachelor's in Computer Science here at CG. So my question is, all of us here have been through more than 15 years of education, but I haven't found an application or use for many of the things I've learned. So why do I find some of the things I learned pointless?
No, that should not be happening in an engineering college. I can understand that in a high school. Most of them are pointless. But in a technical school, that shouldn't be happening. But the important thing is our education system. I wouldn't say that so much about the technical schools like this, but largely our education system was created just to provide clerks for Her Majesty's service. There was no imagination behind it. Obedience was the most important aspect of our education system. This is why you have to just mug up a whole textbook and puke it there, and that's what's supposed to be excellence in education. I wouldn't say that about technical education, I think it's different. So, right now, we wrote a policy on textiles in India, we wrote a policy on the rivers and agriculture. Right now, we are busy writing a policy on education. Of my constant push, recently government announced that in future, in the schools, only 50% of the time in school should be focused towards academics, rest should be focused towards sport, art, music, craft and variety of things. If you do not know this, this was announced just about a month ago. But announcement is fine, but the schools are not equipped to shift. Our schools are made like this. There is a whole lot of… I always said, as much as math and science, there must be that much of music, art, variety of other things. Our schools are managed like this, but that's a small number. Right now, we have convinced the government and government has announced, central government has announced this, but to implement it on the ground, it's still far away because it needs infrastructure, it needs human infrastructure, it needs physical infrastructure, training and various things which are yet to happen in this country, it'll take time. But at least that intention has come, and we are seeing how schools, academic part of the school for a whole lot of children should not be more than 3 to 4 hours a day max. 3.5 hours is all I'm thinking about. Rest of the time, they must learn other things. Right now, we have created a nation where if a farmer's son goes to the farm with his father, father can be arrested for child labor. Yes, really. If you take your child to the farm and both of you are working on the land, people can come and arrest you because you're doing child labor. There is something very dangerous growing in the country. We've looked at this, we've kind of asked so many people. Today, if you ask the farmers in the land, are there people who your parents are from the farming community? Are there children? Only 1 or 2. If you ask any farmer in the country, how many of you want your children to go into farming? It's just 2 to 4%. So in another 25 years, when this generation passes, who is going to grow food in this country? I want to know. You may have technical knowledge, you may do an MBA, you may have various things. Do one thing, go on the land and take out one crop, let me see. It's too complex. We think farming is for the illiterate. It is not so. It is a very complex, meticulous operation. Just because he doesn't have formal education, it doesn't mean that he has no brains, it doesn't mean he doesn't know something, he knows something very vital because of which all of us are eating right now. Yes? Our stomachs are full. But this nation has the danger of not being able to grow its own food in the next 25 years. So we are looking at how only a certain number of children need to go into academic education. Others need to learn other skills and variety of other things to do in the country for their own well-being. Not everybody's brains are made for academics, they simply suffer their academic life, a whole lot of them. Some of them have great joy in academics, a whole lot of them suffer their academic thing and the examinations and studying. How people are suffering, I'm seeing. These people should not be doing academics, they should be learning some other skills where their aptitude is. There is nobody to identify what is your aptitude, what is it that you could do well with joy. This needs to happen at an early time. Between the ages of 10 and 15, we must have a process in the education system where people can choose, and above all, it should be made. Right now the problem, one reason why everybody wants to go to medicine or engineering is because there is a social prestige nonsense. An electrician or a carpenter must have the same prestige that a doctor or an engineer has. Only then education will get leveled out. Above all, a farmer must have a higher place in this society than any of us. He's feeding us.
I don't have a steady mind and I can't focus at one thing. Even if I try a lot, even mobile is a very big distraction apparently. So how do I focus on one thing at a time? I fear that if I give too much time to one thing, I might lose or lack in other things.
See, the nature of human intelligence is such that it can do many things at the same time as a process. When I say intelligence, most people are misunderstanding intelligence as intellect. Intellect is your thought process. Thought is just one dimension of your intelligence. Thought is only happening because of the data that you have gathered in your mind. You cannot think about anything for which you have no data, isn't it so? Isn't it so? Isn't it so? So, human intelligence is made like this. In the yogic way of looking at life, we look at human intelligence as 16 parts. Out of these 16 parts, we can, for the sake of understanding, we can see it as 4 segments. These 4 segments are buddhi, ahankara, manas and chitta. Buddhi means the intellect. Intellect, when it comes to your intellect, would you like a sharp intellect or a dull intellect? You must choose, I'm going to bless you right now. Sharp intellect. So obviously, intellect is a cutting instrument. It's like a knife, it's a scalpel. It's good for cutting. If you want to dissect something, you need a good, sharp intellect. But suppose you want to sew something, all you have is a knife. If you sew with a knife, you know what'll happen? You will leave everything in tatters. But right now, this is the way we are going about because our education systems are focused just purely intellectual basis. This is a cutting instrument. If I want to really know you, shall I dissect you? Hello? I want to know you, so shall I dissect you? Well, some of you in your maybe pre-university studies, you dissected a frog and you were very excited how the heart was beating. The frog was not excited, believe me. It was looking at you, what's wrong with you? Yes or no? So, intellect is a certain instrument. It is a cutting instrument. It can be used for certain aspects of life. But unfortunately, we are using it all pervasive because other dimensions of intelligence have not even been touched. The next dimension of intelligence is called identity. The next dimension of the mind is called identity or the ahankara. Identity means, depending upon what you're identified with, that's how your intellect will function. This is a knife in the front, this will always try to protect what you're identified with. You say, I'm a woman, it'll try to protect your gender. You say, I'm an Indian, it'll try to protect your nationality. You say you're some religion, it'll try to protect that. Whatever is your identity, your intellect is always working to protect that identity. So how we establish this identity consciously is a very important part of education which we have completely ignored today, for which we are paying a huge price. In the traditional education, from 0 to 12 is balavastha, that means just to play, eat, sleep, so that the body and the brain should grow till they're 12 years of age. You should not try to teach anything, extract anything. From 12 to 24 is focused learning. This is called as brahmacharya, discipline of how to learn. Learn is not just learning other disciplines, but above all, learning about the nature of my own human mechanism, my intelligence, my different faculties, how they function, because if I don't understand this, I cannot really apply myself into anything. So, we always establish this. You might have heard of this, there is something called as aham brahmasmi at the age of 12. This is taught to a child. Before we initiate a child into education, first he must take a universal identity, that my identity is the larger universe. Maybe today I'm an Indian, maybe today I belong to this religion or that religion, maybe I belong to this caste, clan or whatever, but my larger identity is with the universe, because education was seen as an empowerment. We don't want to empower you when your identity is narrow, because all the crime on the planet, all the corruption on the planet, all the horrendous things that people do to each other is only because of limited identity, isn't it? I can do it to you, but I can't do it to myself because this is me, isn't it? I can't do it to my own child, but I can do it to somebody else because this is mine and that is not mine. So before you are empowered with education, which is seen as a powerful tool for life, first thing is take a universal identity. Unfortunately, we've neglected. Because of this, today if you see, the cutting edge of technology and science always goes first for military use. Yes or no? So how to kill people, how to dominate somebody, how to destroy somebody, this is where our knowledge is going, simply because we did not establish a universal identity before education came to people. So the third dimension of your mind is referred to as manas. Manas means it's a silo of memory. When I say memory, it's not just what you remember, your entire body is memory. There is evolutionary memory here, there is genetic memory here, there is karmic memory here, there is articulate and inarticulate levels of memory, conscious and unconscious levels of memory, various dimensions of memory. We identify 8 different forms of memory. Right now, you may not remember how your great-great-great-grandfather looked like 10 generations ago, but his nose is sitting on your face. Body remembers, yes or no? Body absolutely remembers everything. So this memory is the basis of your intellect. If we take away the memory or de-link the memory from your intellect will become without activity. This is one important dimension of yoga, that we understood that if we… See, if you want to continue the knife analogy, the intellect is like a knife. The hand that holds the knife is identity. Knife is useful or dangerous depending upon not on the knife's quality, but the hand which holds it, isn't it? If you're identified one way, this knife will poke you. If you're identified in a different way, this knife can save your life. So the same knife every day saves lives and sometimes takes lives, depending upon who holds it or which hand holds it. So we de-link the menace with the intellect. Now, intellect simply there, without intention. So essentially, yoga means this, to build an intensity within you without intent. Right now, I want to become an engineer, I want to become rich, I want to make money, I want to be this, I want to be that. You become goal-oriented. This is the fundamental flaw in the education system. We become goal-oriented. Because we want to get there, we are doing all this. We are like circus monkeys. Circus monkeys are like this. You show a banana and say, you do all those tricks, I'll give you a banana. So it will do all the tricks, banana. No banana, you will simply sit there. So, once you become human, you should not behave like a circus monkey. It is not because of a carrot and stick that you're driving yourself, because you're seeing that what you're doing is of some consequence to you and to the world around you. That's why the action. So if you de-link the knife and the hand and the silo of memory, then your intellect will shine with sharpness. It will not be rusted with memory, it will shine with sharpness. See, it's like this. There are some people who are when you go to restaurants you will see, and maybe in some homes also, you ask them to cut a mango, they will use the same knife with which they've cut onion and they cut the mango and give you. You can't keep it in your mouth, the sweetness of the mango is gone. If the residual impact of whatever the knife has touched is there in it, slowly it will lose its purpose, isn't it? The same goes for your intellect. If the memory sticks to your intellect, after some time, it'll become a useless intellect because it becomes a highly prejudiced intellect. So, the entire yogic system is about this, to dissolve your identity and simply sit here so that your intellect will shine like a razor without any intent. Intensity without intent, if it comes into your intellect, you can do 25 things at the same time, just like that, okay? People keep asking me, Sadhguru, you have been busy the whole 6 months, not a day's break, then how did you write this poem? How did you think about this? How did you come up this plan? How did you design this one and that one? I have 12, 14 tracks running all the time, I just initiate and leave, they will run by themselves. See, when a computer is able to process something, if you feed and leave, it processes, isn't it? Isn't this a better computer than anything that you have ever used? Hello? Only problem is you did not read the user's manual for this one. You must read the user's manual. So just listening to videos is no good. We can teach you a simple practice. You start the practice of de-linking the intellect from the memory at least for a few minutes a day. You will see your intellect becomes super competent.